We are going live now. It's going to take a second. So everybody, I think we'll get people slowly joining us, which seems to happen every week. And I'm sure lots of you will join us in the replay as well. We're talking about past lives today. This is such an interesting topic. And I was just telling our speaker, Mariel, a second ago, that this is stuff that I really do not know too much about.
I can't hear you now.
Just audio settings.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Mariel?
Now I can.
I just keep getting a notification from Facebook.
It's like kind of delayed.
Video is working before we get started.
Okay, now I can hear you.
You can? Hey, okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right, good. Well, let's get started because I've got Mariel here on the other end here. If you don't know who she is, she's a shamanic and spiritual mentor. She's launching an amazing course coming up all about awakening your shamanic blueprint. And today we're talking about past lives. So decoding our past lives in the present moment, which is a really interesting topic. So Mariel, I want to hear from you. What was your journey in becoming a shaman? Like we obviously know what shamans are, or we've heard of shamans before, but I think we often associate shamans as people down in like the Amazon rainforest or, you know, up in like Tibet somewhere, but you are like a modern woman, you're living in Arizona. Can you just tell us how you became a shaman and what that process was?
Yeah, so I was always intuitive my whole life, and I kind of just blocked it out because I wasn't really sure what to do with it. And it honestly kind of scared me. So I just, like fought against it and just did different careers. I used to be a journalist, and then after that, I had a fitness clothing company. And then right before my 30th birthday a few years ago, I just started to feel really unfulfilled from my clothing business, and it like really freaked me out because I was so passionate about it at one point, and I thought this was what I was going to do forever. And simultaneously, as I started to feel unfulfilled and I kind of felt like, okay, which way do I go, all of my intuitive abilities just really amplified. And I would just start to see, I would hang out with friends and I would just get all these downloads of information for them. And I wasn't really telling them because I didn't want to be like, hey, guess what I'm getting right now? Like it's kind of weird. And I would have like really weird dreams and nightmares. And I'm someone who always remembers their dreams every single day, which is exhausting. So I kept getting these messages through my dreams and just through, intuitive thoughts. And then probably like a month before my 30th birthday, one of my girlfriends invited me to a sound bath. And at the time, they were like fairly new on the scene, or at least like for where I was living. So I was like, I've never heard of this before, but I'm totally open to going. So we go to it, and the second they started playing the music, and sound baths are very healing. So, and at the time, of course, but I didn't know anything like what this was about. So they started playing the music and my heart started racing, and I just knew like I was about to have some sort of like weird spiritual experience. So I closed my eyes, and what I didn't realize then, but what I know now, is that I actually went to 3 different, what it's called, soul returns, which were like 3 different past lives that they were showing me. And when I was in these past live visions, I was saying to them, like, where am I? Like, what is this? And I was asking all these questions. And so it really freaked me out, because it was like so intense. And so like some of them I was dying. So it was like really traumatic. And afterwards I Googled all of these places and the tribe names, and they were all real. And so that really gave me, well, it freaked me out, but it also gave me validation that like, okay, there is something to this. So I had talked to my healer at the time who does what I do now. And I was like, if anyone knows what this is, like it would be you, like what is going on? And so we did look into some of my past lives. And for many, many past lives, I was a medicine woman, a shaman, all of that. And the reason why this was all coming up was because I wasn't living in alignment with myself, and I wasn't, basically pursuing my soul purpose. And they were trying to tell me like, okay, get back on this path. So I didn't really even know what to do, but I basically just surrendered, which is what I always tell people, like if I now know the difference between what it's like to live on your, soul purpose path as opposed to fighting against something that like really isn't working. So I just surrendered and I started taking some shamanic workshops and it really clicked. I understood it really well. And then from there, I just started getting clients without doing any marketing, which what happens if you're actually like on your divine path, like the people who are supposed to come to you will show up. And I just started doing that. And then as time went on more and more, my guides, when I would be doing these sessions, they just taught me how to do the rest. So definitely, don't fight against your path. That's what I try to empower people with, because it's just so much easier. Like life gets easier when you actually follow what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that is great advice. Like knowing the resistance and knowing the feeling, just the negative feelings, which are signs for us to examine what's going on and figure out what feels better and what is a better path. But so that's a really incredible story, and it's so interesting how you had just kind of glimpses of something else, and it was the sound bath that actually took you deeper into that experience. And I know you offer sound bathing sessions and stuff. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about how that actually works? Like how the sound, I'm assuming it's like the vibrations, can bring these experiences to life?
Yeah. So when you do sound bath, so basically, like it's been scientifically proven that if you're looking at water, and we're made of 70% water, and you play these sound bowls and the different instruments, the molecules and all of that start to change, and they start to basically heal if anything, is not in alignment. And there's actually crazy pictures that you can look up where it looks all like weird if it's just like normal, and then when they play the sound instruments, it looks kind of like snowflakes, and it has like these beautiful images. So that's what it's doing on like a cellular level. But then spiritually too, once you start playing the bowls, it just brings it, like each bowl is aligned to a different chakra, and it brings, when you start to receive messages or anything like that, it brings up what needs to be healed. So sometimes like people will be like, oh, I just kept seeing red. Okay, well, that's probably saying that like your root chakra, which is red, like maybe you need to be more grounded, maybe you're too grounded, so it's kind of just figuring out what the symbols mean. And maybe you'll get like maybe a straightforward answer. Like maybe they'll literally be like, hey, you're too grounded. It just depends on how open you are.
Yeah, I love it. And like, I guess just having that support to help you know what those signs are, like what red means, or and just understanding that it's not necessarily going to come to you as like a booming voice of clarity. That
sometimes it will, depending on how far gone you are and how much, like how connected you are.
Yeah. So would you say then we all have past lives?
Yeah, absolutely. We do. And actually, like what I've noticed from doing this work is like 95% of the time, what I've noticed for me and for all of my clients is that most of our issues are from past lives. And that's what we're working through now.
Yeah. So like somebody that may have like triggers or just reoccurring situations that can't figure out where they're coming from in their real life. I know I experience this a lot. I can't pinpoint it to anything I actually consciously remember, but are those the cues that it's probably from another life?
Yeah, most likely, because basically time is not linear like we think. So when our soul, has had many lives in the past, and if it has any trauma, or if you were killed or heartache or anything like that, it's still the same soul right now. So you might still be carrying those things unless you heal it. But the good news is that, we can still heal something right now that happened back then, because like I said, time is not linear. So once we heal, like I can go in and go back to like a certain life you had. And once we heal that, you are healed right now in the moment. So that's what's just so interesting about it.
Okay, can you explain that process a little bit more? Because I understand, and I've heard that being said a lot, that there's no time, there's no space, anything, everything that ever was and ever will be exists simultaneously with the now. Can you explain like the process of how you leverage that to heal in this current lifetime?
Yeah, so just think of like everyone has this one soul, right? And it's the same soul in every body that of each lifetime. So let's say you are murdered in like 1700s, then that is like obviously a traumatic thing, and that's like imprinted on you, and that upset you. And so you're still that same exact being at that soul level. And now, like, let's say now I'm me, like, so that is still with me right now. Even though I'm living a different life, I still have that baggage because we didn't heal that. And that was like really traumatic. So if we heal it now, we're still healing it then because it's still kind of like happening all at the same time.
Can you tell us some examples of how past lives might be showing up? I mean, you mentioned like that the case of being murdered in the 17th century. So how could that be showing up now? Like, what have you seen in some of your clients?
So I would say like the easiest one to pinpoint is if you have any like fears that are just so irrational, like people who have fear of heights. I mean, obviously, like let's say when you were little in this life, you like fell off the roof. Okay, then that's probably, and now you're scared of heights, probably from that. It's not going to be a past life issue. But if you are randomly like, oh my God, I don't know why, but I cannot go near the edge of anything, or I don't know why, but like if anyone even goes near my neck, I will freak out. Something like that. If you are scared, like if you feel claustrophobic, a lot of times that could be like buried alive or trapped or something like that.
What if you're scared of spiders?
Yeah, I mean, if you have like a national fear of spiders, I mean, for me, like I am deathly afraid of cockroaches, and I feel like maybe in a past life I was like carried off with them, like away somewhere. I don't know, never looked into it, but yeah. So also like those kinds of things too, like spiders and insects. It could be past lives where you were like held captive and like kind of think of like medieval times, like when you're in a dungeon, and think of like that filth you would be left in. So like sometimes that, and I don't want to make blanket statements that like, oh, that's definitely what it was, but I'm just giving you some examples because I have had clients where like they, don't like people touching their neck, and they also feel like they can't speak up. And like we come to find out that they were strangled in a past life. So, I mean, a lot of the times, like it's not anything good that we find out, but it's helpful because like we do get to clear it, and then you can move on and feel so much better.
Yeah, and aside from like fears, what are some other ways we can get some indications of what our past lives were so we can decode them, if you will?
So sometimes past lives have a lot to do with certain relationships that you have. And so you can start to create patterns with certain people, and this can be like your parents, it could be, anyone like boyfriend, girlfriend. And it's usually something negative because if you didn't heal it or, fix it or complete it in the past life, it's just going to literally be repeating over and over again, just in like a different time period. So, for example, one sort of past life relationship is called a karmic relationship. And that's where sometimes I find with clients, and like this has happened, I find out with myself too, is you could maybe be with someone who is so horrible to you, but maybe in that past life, you are actually horrible to them. And you're just kind of like,
get them back.
I'm just like completing the cycle, like maybe they deserve to have, like maybe in that past life they were so horrible to you, and now in this life like they deserve, like you like made amends, and you were like, all right, now this life I deserve to have that feeling. So that kind of plays out, and it's usually, and the way it's a karmic relationship is it's never a good one. Like your soulmate, whoever you end up with, that's not going to be a karmic relationship. The karmic ones are the ones that you are completing lessons with, and they're usually bad. And I don't mean bad as in like abusive or anything like that. Like that could be it too, but it's just not who you're going to end up with. It's not your like true soulmate.
And so how related is this all to like family constellations and like ancestral healing and stuff? Like how are past lives and healing from past lives related to healing from like, ancestral wounds that get passed up through our family?
So something I do in my ceremonies is ancestral healing, like you're saying, and like healing lineage. And so I would say lineage is a little bit different than past lives because so let's say in this life, your mom was poor, and let's say your grandma was poor, and then her mother was poor. that still has to do with this one life, and that's your lineage. So like we can go in and like, I mean, and that's definitely like a block that you could have, because like now maybe you're poor, you know, and that's because that's in your lineage. It's not really like a past life though, it's just the lineage. And so we can go in and clear that. And when you clear it, you clear seven times or 7 generations back, but you also are clearing 7 generations forward. So if you were going to have kids or anything like that, it would also be cleared 7 times forward, which is really cool.
That's really powerful. Definitely. Yeah, just thinking of, you know, in my own family, not to go into any details, but you can definitely see how things are sort of passed down the line. And I've got 2 kids, and how, you know, some of these behaviors that are just very normal in our family are also expressed in him, and how if I do the healing, it can, you know, also penetrate and affect other people in my family, past and future.
And it heals them as well, because I know that when I've done these ancestral healings with the ceremonies, they are healing, you know, like their ancestors, and we'll even get messages like, well, they'll get messages themselves during the ceremony, and they'll be thanking them, like their ancestors who have passed. They're like, thank you so much for doing this, because like now, because like I said, how time is not linear, they're still feeling it. And so we're able to heal them. So now, you know, like you'll be healed, they'll be healed, everyone will be healed, you know?
Yeah. So I'd love to hear from those of you listening right now, if you're tuning in with us live, and if you're listening to the podcast later, maybe just shoot us a DM on Instagram. But I would love to know those of you who have an experience, or who know their past lives, who are aware of 1 or 2 or more past lives. Just let us know in the comments. For me, I totally, like I said, I have experiences that I think probably translate to a past life, but yeah, I don't have any memories. I don't have any premonitions. So how else, besides, we spoke about, you know, looking at your fears as a way to decode your past lives, looking at your relationships. What are some other ways that we can decode them?
Well, sometimes if you have, like I was saying, I always remember my dreams. If someone does ever remember their dreams and it starts to be like a reoccurring thing, that can be an indication that like maybe that needs some healing, and maybe that's a past life. So that's one way. Another way too, if you want to start diving into this work, I mean, like I can obviously help people with it, but if you want to do it on your own, I would say go into a meditation, and everything is about intention. So set an intention to say something like, okay, show me any past life that needs healing, or like show me a sign, or, or if there's something you might think is a past life, you can say, like, is this related to a past life, and see if you channel any messages, or if you aren't that good at channeling any messages, you can be like, show me a sign out in nature. And I would pick something. So let's say, it's like a dragonfly, then make that intention in your mind that when I'm like, show me a dragonfly if this is the answer, so that you'll know, like just something for you to know that that is your answer.
Yeah, I love that. And I like how you said just having that intention, like the intention is what will draw the experience into you. Do you use,
Right.
do you work with guides or angels or anything to get clarity on past lives?
Yeah, so I don't really work with angels, but I work a lot with like nature and all of the elements. So I know this sounds like crazy to some people, but all the guides I work with are animals, are like power animals. So that is who I work with for all of my healings, all of my wisdom, clarity, past life stuff, everything. It's all through them.
And I know in some of the work you do, you help people connect with their spirit animal. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the process of that?
So basically, well, like for example, the course that I'm releasing, that will show people how to do that, and it'll walk them through it. But basically in shamanism, there's different realities, like different worlds. And so I teach you how to do this process, which is called journeying, which is like how you travel to these different realms. And when you do get to the lower world, which is where your power animal lives, I could teach you all how to, meet them and find them and communicate with them and all of that.
Okay, so this journeying, what exactly, and I don't want to like do a big spoiler on your course because I know you're releasing that in the next few weeks and you're covering all this, but what is journeying?
So yeah, journeying is just the process of how you get to, like, just think of it as another name of traveling. But in the shamanic techniques that I use, so basically you listen to drumming, which puts your brain into a theta state and kind of like a trance. And that's what enables your consciousness to now shift and go to this other reality. So that's how you will get there. You listen to the drumming, your mind gets into a theta state, your brain does, and then you do the steps that I would teach you to get there.
And all this can be done online?
Yeah, so I'll basically be like telling the people how to do it, you know, like in my course. But then all you have to do, like once you know the information, is you just lay down, like wherever you are, and you listen to the drumming, and then you just follow my steps and you get there.
Amazing. I love
Yeah,
the
it's not.
internet for the ability to be able to connect us with people like you and this type of wisdom and these experiences. That's just so cool.
Yeah, it's not even like a hard process. It's more like, I would just say, more importantly, it's more learning how to like make sure that you're protected, because you are opening like different portals, and you would never want to just do that blindly. And also, like I said, being intentional. Like, you don't ever in the spiritual world just want to like show up and be like, hey, I'm here. You know, like you need an intention, because you don't want to just be open to like anything negative. And also, like, guides won't really help you necessarily if you're just like, hey, and like just sit there. You know, it's like you need to be like, hey, like I have a question, and be like conversational with them and just have like a mission.
Wow. Okay, so we spoke about 3 ways that we can decode our past lives in the present moment. We spoke about fears, relationships, and dreams. Are there any other ways?
I would say that that's because like I just try to tell you from like my own experience.
Yeah.
I would say too, like sometimes addiction. A lot of clients I work with have addictions that also has a lot to do with past lives. And again, like replaying out, you know, these patterns that need to be healed. But yeah, I mean, just like I said, 95% of any issue that you have is most likely related to a past life.
And this could be good stuff as well. Hey, like the positive stuff going on in our life. A lot of that can stem from positive aspects of past lives. Would you agree? Or is it mostly just the negative stuff?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, in so many of my past lives, I was a shaman, you know, and now I am. And so that's like a positive thing. And for example, this woman who's one of my clients, she has a successful business right now, and she'll come to me like asking for, you know, wisdom about that. And when I looked into some of her past life stuff, she actually did have like a very successful, I can't remember if it was like an oil or like train company, like back in like the 1800s, you know, and that because of that, that made her like have this ambition of like, ooh, I really like being a business owner, and, you know, coming into this life and wanting that power again and wanting to, you know, be successful. So that's a positive. And so I'm not saying that everything is negative. It's just that if you're coming to me to heal, if it's already positive, then it's not gonna, there's nothing to heal. So that's just
Yeah.
why. But the
Yeah.
outcome is positive. Like there's nothing I can, like I'll never say to someone like, we can't heal that, you're screwed, like better luck next time. Like nothing like that ever happened. So
And what's the kind of highest intention for this? The people that take the time and they do this work with you and they heal their past lives. I mean, what does that mean for their next lives? Are they then enlightened, or what is the end goal to go through this process?
so as long as we clear it and like they stay on that path, like let's say, you know, it's like they don't go back to that person with that karmic relationship or whatever it is, like they just clear it up and move on, then the good news is they will not have to ever have that experience with that person again. They won't be replaying the same exact patterns. So they're literally like breaking free of these chains, these patterns, these blocks. And yeah, in the next life, now they can either work on healing something different, or just have like a better experience. But ultimately, like just knowing, for me now, knowing that like I've cleared some certain things, I definitely will never go back to like what those things were, because I'm like, okay, if I have to go through that again in the next life, like I would never self-sabotage myself in that way.
And is the end goal enlightenment? Like, what is the end goal? Or do we
Yeah.
keep coming back forever?
Yeah. So like we're always coming back to work on different, you know, lessons and patterns and to clear them up. So like the more we can clear it up now, like the easier it'll be, because eventually once we clear everything up, we don't have to come back, you know, like being here in this reality is kind of like school. And it's where there's like pain and suffering. And so like we don't want to be doing this unless we like really have like a mission. I mean, to help people and all of that. And we're working through our own stuff. But yeah, the goal is to just clear up as many things as we can.
And do we choose the life we want to have?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you have free will. Like, I don't think you chose like every single thing that happens in your life. But yeah, there's definitely like you have a soul family and you all travel together each life, but just play a different role.
So our soul family, is that like our parents, our kids, our who encompasses that?
Yeah, it could be your parents, your kids, like really close friends, husband, wife, maybe you have like a teacher or like a healer or something like that, that is just like anyone who's very influential in your life. And usually you can feel it, like once you know that someone is like that relationship is from a past life and it's for your soul family, then you always know going forward, like you just have like a certain feeling, a certain connection with them, and you're like, okay, I've definitely been with this person before.
And when people work with you, can you help them determine who in their life was what in their past lives?
Yeah, if they want to know that, yeah, we can ask anything. I'm just the facilitator. So basically, like, you would just come to me and be like, hey, like, what does this mean? Or, who is this person, this and that. And then I would just ask and then get the answer and tell you.
Wow. So tell us more about the Awaken Your Inner Shamanic Blueprint course. So how long is it? What's involved? And what will people get from it? What are kind of the takeaways they'll get from it from going through the program?
So it is an online course that is 4 weeks, but the 5th week is going to be thrown in for a bonus. And there's going to be 2 options. One option is just a self-study where you get the course and you just take it, once a week at your own pace. And it will come with a free 1-hour session with me. And then the other option is the VIP one, and also comes to the Facebook group. So the other one, the VIP one, that is the same exact course, except you'll get weekly support from me. So every week after you do these journeys and all of these like spiritual experiences, we'll get on a call and I'll be able to like interpret, because a lot of times these guides, they talk in metaphors, or if you're not used to connecting with them, like it might be confusing or you might see images. So I will be there to kind of walk you through it and help you interpret it and give you guidance or clarity of like, okay, maybe do this next time or do that. And just any help that you would need. And also with the VIP package, one of my friends, she is a astrologer and she's going to be gifting everyone a 1-hour natal chart reading, which is really cool because it tells you everything that from a soul level of any issues from your past life that you came in to heal in this life. And so if you don't know any so far, you'll now know them. And then you can use that information to use what I'm teaching you to heal it. So in the course, you'll be learning how to meet your power animal, how to talk to them, what their name is, how to connect, all of that. And then you're also going to be going to a different reality, which is the upper world, where you have a spiritual teacher. So there's 2 different places you can go. One is for healing, one is for guidance. And you'll just be able to do these things on your own. So anytime, like any day, if you just want to heal something or you want clarity or guidance, you can just on your own take the initiative and just talk to these guides. So it's really more to empower people so that you won't have to have a session with me or a session with anyone else. And you can just like take life into your own hands and, figure it out yourself. Saves you like a lot of money and time. And then I just think it's cool, in general to know like, oh, I did this. I found out these answers myself,
That is like the next level of self-help.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So
I've never heard of a program quite like this before. And I can really see the value of doing the VIP where people are actually working with you and just getting your interpretation of everything. Right. And obviously that astrology session as well would be a huge benefit. So I love it. Like how powerful if we are able to bring ourselves into these realms by ourselves and connect with higher versions of ourselves and past lives on our own, like you said, to have those tools to work through life would be so powerful.
So, right, exactly. Yeah. So I want to create
excited
mini to like go around and help people and help themselves.
Yeah, help people help themselves. Absolutely. So we're going to wrap it up here. What I'll do is, for all of you listening on Facebook, we'll get Mariel to add in her the link maybe to your website. I guess your course isn't released yet. It's going to be released in a couple weeks. I think you said August 17th, around then.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll put a link to her website and the course and any social links so you can find her. And if you're listening on the podcast, we'll make sure that we've included all of this in the show notes as well. So Mariel, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so insightful. I'm really excited now to pay a lot more attention to things in my life, my dreams and fears and relationships, and try to pull out some wisdom as to past lives, because not only do I totally believe that they are a thing, that they're real, that they're true, that they exist, I think a lot of our suffering, as you said, in our reality right now is because of them. So, you know, exactly. the more tools we can get to dig in and heal, the better. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks for all of you that joined live and watch for this later on IGTV and the podcast as well.
Sounds good.
Bye. Okay, we are